This week on GamePron News, a bunch of Swedish researchers come to the conclusion that, at least in some respects, gaming might be good for teenagers. We also learned that Battlefield 3 will not ship with any modding tools in the same week that the original Modern Warfare was sent to a galaxy far, far away. Nefarious types chose the July 4th weekend to leak an unfinished developer build of Gears of War 3. Red 5's new MMO Firefall has a very impressive new writer on board, and there's a couple of juicy tidbits when it comes to video game movies. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen. While video games are typically blamed for the downfall of society, a Swedish study has suggested that perhaps they're not all that bad after all. The Swedish Council for Information on Alcohol and Other Drugs spoke to 46,000 local youngsters to discover their habits when it came to drinking, smoking and illicit substances. Their findings were surprising. Just 55% of 15 and 16-year-old boys had tried alcohol in the past year, which is a drop of more than 20% over the past decade and the lowest figure since the council started keeping track of these things back in 1971. While many factors are at play, the council surmises that more kids these days spend hours sitting by the computer playing games instead of watching TV, and a local sobriety group observes that it doesn't work to be drunk when you're doing something that relies on your reflexes. Apparently girls are also not drinking as much as they used to, but those numbers are dropping more slowly. If you are hoping to create a whole bunch of mods for Battlefield 3, you might like to rethink your plans. EA's Patrick Soderlund has explained that the game will not ship with any modding tools. And why not? He says the Frostbite engine is quite tricky and making mods would be very difficult. It's not the first time DICE have made a move like this either. Mirror's Edge was also shipped without modding tools, but that didn't stop fans from rising up and releasing new maps for the game without any official support from the developers. True, that one was using the Unreal Engine, but it does suggest that it shouldn't be too long before we start seeing BF3 mods popping up around the place after the game's official release later this year. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, on the other hand, has plenty of mods being made for it. This week saw the release of a shiny new Total Conversion mod which takes Infinity Ward's shooter to a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars mod Galactic Warfare has just hit version 1.0 after a lengthy beta process, and from the looks of things, it was well worth the wait. Creators Black Monkeys were apparently inspired by a 3D blaster model, and the completed version now includes your favourite Star Wars characters, weapons and locations, including Mos Eisley, Jundland and Anchorhead, as well as Star Wars-themed kill streaks. If you want to check this one out for yourself, head to GamePron.com. We've got all the files on our mirror all ready for you. As game studios around the world are still recovering from this year's wave of hacking attacks, the hits keep coming for Epic Games. The July 4th weekend saw an unfinished build of Gears of War 3 leaked onto torrent sites around the world, leaving both Epic and Microsoft scrambling for answers. The leak itself was a JTAG version of the game, requiring a particular developer 360 to play, but that didn't stop various ill-meaning types from grabbing video footage of the preview build, which quickly made its way to YouTube. Predictably, spoilers abound, to the point where merely typing Gears of War 3 into YouTube will result in Google's handy autofill feature popping up something you don't want to see. Dana Cowley from Epic took the time out from her holiday weekend to explain that both Epic and Microsoft were working closely with security teams and law enforcement, and to assure fans that the content is not from a final build, nor does it represent what fans will experience when the game is finally launched in September. Meanwhile, if you wanted to play a bit of Gears of War 2 with 7 of your closest friends, maybe you'd like to hop on eBay. An Australian man is currently selling his very unique Gears of War 2 game chamber, and it's a bargain at just $15,500. For your money, you get 8 42-inch HD LCD TVs, 8 Xbox 360 consoles, and a server to hook them all together. You'll also get a bunch of long-shot replicas, a handful of wooden lancers, a whole pile of army ammunitions cases, and a collection of games, including, of course, Gears of War 2. Sure, you'd have to organise shipping from Cairns in the far north of Queensland, Australia, but that's a mere trifle in the overall scheme of things, right? The seller explains that this was originally a prize in an Australian nationwide competition put on by a major gaming retailer, and that he's about to move house and cannot take the entire shipping container with him. Did we mention it was air-conditioned? In other news, Firefall, the free-to-play MMO action game from Red 5, has announced its lead writer, none other than epic science fiction author Orson Scott Card, creator of the Ender's Game series. Card appeared in a recent video developer diary chatting about the game's development, storyline, and the new manga novel tie-in that his daughter Emily Janice Card is also working on.
What I found when they started talking to me about the storyline of Firefall, when I looked at the material they'd already developed, is that it's really fascinating to be dealing with essentially a post-apocalyptic, in fact post-double apocalyptic world, in which it's not a bunch of people running around obsessing over water or gasoline or whatever. It's not Mad Max, it's not the world ended. Well, the world did end, but we're maintaining our high technology, we're moving forward with it, we're still civilized human beings. We just happen to have a whole bunch of extremely dangerous monsters coming at us that need shooting. One of the best things about working on this manga is that Udon Comics is going to be in charge of taking it from our script and turning it into something really exciting visually. Comics fans already know what I'm talking about.
And finally this week, there's been a bit of a buzz in the weird world that is the video game film industry. It came to light that in December last year, Take-Two Interactive filed a trademark registration for Rockstar Films. In the 7 months since, neither that company nor Rockstar Games has breathed a word of this new trademark, but the rumour mill is working overtime. We were also stunned to learn that the Mass Effect movie is up for discussion at this month's Comic-Con in San Diego, where Legendary Pictures is hosting a panel. We know that scriptwriter Mark Protosevich and Casey Hudson from BioWare will be appearing, but not much more than that. While this is very exciting news, it should probably be taken with a grain of salt. The Gears of War movie was also presented in a Comic-Con panel, and nobody's heard from it since. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is GamePron News.